ഹലോ ഗൈസ്, വെൽക്കം ടു ലേണേഴ്സ്. ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ ലേണേഴ്സിൽ നോക്കാൻ പോകുന്നത് GK ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ്. അതിനു മുൻപ് ഇതുപോലുള്ള വീഡിയോസിനായി ചാനൽ ലൈക്ക് ചെയ്യുക, ഷെയർ ചെയ്യുക, സബ്സ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യുക. വീഡിയോയിലേക്ക് പോകാം. വിച്ച് പ്ലാനറ്റ് ഈസ് നോൺ ആസ് ദ റെഡ് പ്ലാനറ്റ്? ഹൂ ഗേവ് ദ സ്ലോഗൻ ജയ് ജവാൻ ജയ് കിസാൻ? What is the chemical formula of water? In which year was the Indian National Congress established? Which is the longest river in India? Who was the first Home Minister of India? What is the total number of articles in the Indian Constitution? What is the pH value of human blood? Which is the largest continent in the world? Who is known as the father of computer? In which year did the First World War begin? Where is the headquarters of RBI located? Which river is known as the Dakshin Ganga? Who was the first person to walk on the moon? Which is the highest mountain peak in India? Which gas is mainly responsible for the greenhouse effect? In which year was NITI Ayog established? Which Indian leader is known as the Missile Man of India? What percentage of the Earth's surface is covered with water? In which year was the Planning Commission of India established? When is National Science Day celebrated in India? Who was the permanent chairman of the Constituent Assembly? Which was the first satellite of India? Who was the founder of Maurya dynasty? When is Earth Day celebrated? Which vitamin is obtained from sunlight? Who is the author of Ramayana? When were the first general elections held in India? Which award is given in the field of Indian cinema? How many members are there in the Lok Sabha? Which state has the highest population in India? Under which article can the President declare national emergency? Which river is the longest in the world? Which was the first nuclear power plant in India? Which movement was related to the protection of trees? Which is the largest port in India? How many schedules are there in the Indian Constitution? Which Mughal emperor built the Red Fort in Delhi? What percentage of water is present in the human brain? Which Indian ruler reformed the revenue system for the first time? Drinking water while eating may cause which problem? Where are railway wheels manufactured in India? Where was the Azad Hind Fauj established? Which animal's milk did humans first consume? Which is the fastest running animal in the world? Which Indian state does not touch the sea? People of which country read the most books? Eating what in the morning helps sharpen the brain? Royal Enfield is a company of which country? Where is the Sas Babu temple located? What is India's rank in the world in terms of area? Which bird has a sweeter voice than a cuckoo? Papaya is the national fruit of which country? From which part of a plant is coffee made? Where is Kedarnath temple located? Which flower blooms once in 12 years? Aadhaar card was first issued in which state? What was the old name of Uttar Pradesh before 1950? Which tree produces the most oxygen? Which region is called the roof of the world? Which is India's national festival? In which state does the sun rise first in India? Where is the National Defence Academy located? What is the national fruit of India? What is the national food of India? Which country is currently considered the most powerful? How long does it take to reach the moon from Earth? Which animal can clean its ears with its tongue? Lal Bahadur Shastri's Samadhi is called? Where is Jantar Mantar located? Under which article is national emergency declared? Which was the first state formed on a linguistic basis? Which is India's highest waterfall? From which language is the word monsoon derived? Which place receives the highest rainfall in India? India shares its borders with how many countries? The boundary between India and Pakistan is called? The boundary between India and China is called? Which is the largest country in the world by area? In which year did Delhi become the capital of India? In which state is red sandalwood mainly found? Which is the major ethnic group in Sri Lanka? When is the millet crop harvested? What is the northernmost range of the Himalayas called? Who was the second woman to climb Mount Everest? Which state produces the highest amount of gold in India? When is Human Rights Day observed? Who is the Supreme Commander of the Indian Armed Force? Which state produces the most organs in India? How many countries are there in the world? In which country was coronavirus first detected? In which year did the Jallianwala Bagh massacre take place? What is the color of pure water? Which lake is located in Odisha? Which Indian state receives the highest rainfall? Which country experiences the most earthquakes? Which state is the largest producer of potatoes in India? Which state is most affected by cyclones in India? Which country lies to the west of India? Who is the richest woman in India? Which city was India's capital before Delhi? For more videos, like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.